In terms of today's presentation, we will give you a quick overview of UK higher education. There are many different types of universities. We will cover this very briefly, and we'll also talk about which types of programs have got January intakes. We will talk about admissions requirements, how you get in, a little bit around tuition fees, accommodation and living costs, so you're aware of the commitment you're making and the return on investment that you're likely to receive. And Adia will go through each types of program one by one, just to talk in a little bit more detail about what you need to know, how you apply, the duration of the program is. We will cover study visas at the end, and then the presentation itself should be no longer than 20 to 30 minutes, which leaves lots of time for Q&A, for questions and answers at the end. If you do have any questions during the presentation, by all means put them in the chat, and my colleagues and I will pick those up and we'll answer those questions one by one at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, let's begin. SI UK, our organisation, are university specialists. We support tens of thousands of students each year with their applications to UK universities. We offer expert advice. We've been doing this for a long time. SI UK was established in 2006, and we now have 92 offices all over the world. And our standard service offers free and impartial advice for all UK universities. So I think we're unique in this, in that we have contracts with all the UK universities. If you want additional services, we can provide things like an Oxbridge service and medicine, but there's a payment involved. But our standard service is free and impartial. We contact all the UK universities on your behalf. Basically, we take the hassle out of the application for you. We mediate with the universities, and there's no cost to you whatsoever. So we will cover very briefly just the different types of universities, because I think this is important. It's a question we get asked quite a lot, what the differences are between the universities. Most people will look at the university rankings, and there are many different ones. There are national university rankings like the Times or the Complete University Guide. And there are world university rankings like the Times Higher and the QS. So just to let you understand what sort of things these university guides look at, they look at things like student satisfaction. So a survey is done of the final year students at UK universities, both international and UK. And they look at things like the quality of the teaching, the quality of the accommodation, the quality of the facilities, what sort of services are in place for student support. So all the things that make up the experience of being in a UK university. It also looks at things like research, how well known they are for research, how well known they are internationally. They look at how high the entry standards are when you come in, so whether you need 3 A's or 3 B's to get into the university. And they also look at the student-staff ratio. So obviously, the sort of smaller that ratio, the higher the quality of teaching. You get more intimate support if it's one member of staff to 3 students compared to 1 member of staff to 10 students. They look at how much the university spends on their facilities like library and computing, and also things like the careers service and sports fields. They look at how well students graduate, whether they come out with a high degree or a middle ranking degree. And they also look at what sort of jobs the students get at the end. So these are the sort of things that rankings look at. When it's for a national ranking table, student satisfaction is very heavily weighted. When it's an international table, it's much more around research. So this is why different universities are ranked differently in the UK. The good news is that of the 130 plus universities that are in the UK, all of them have to adhere to the Quality Assurance Agency. So you can be guaranteed the highest quality of education, whichever university you go to. But you might want to look at some of the different specializations at university, depending on what it is that you would like to achieve. In terms of how to choose a university, of course, the main thing is to research the courses that meet your interests and your abilities. Utilize all the resources at your disposal. Speak with friends, speak with family of friends that's been to the UK, speak to your own family, your teachers, and of course, speak to counsellors like my colleagues at SI UK that have a very thorough understanding of the UK higher education landscape. A very obvious thing to say is to research the entry requirements, look at the academic entry requirements, as well as the English language entry requirements. This is really important. There is no point you wasting your time, the university's time, if it's going to be very, very difficult for you to enter the university. And also, if you have the opportunity, depending on where you're based, do try and attend fairs, the open days, and any campus tours. A lot of these are available on the university websites as well as in person. Okay, and then just to finish this off, there are, broadly speaking, 4 different types of UK university. There's a reason why the UK has got a global reputation for the quality of our teaching, and that's because we've been doing this for a long time. The ancient universities, Oxford, 800 years old, Cambridge, 750 years old, St Andrews in Scotland, 600 years old. These are the ancient universities. And then at the end of the 19th century, there was another big group of city-based universities where it was a badge of honor for a city to have a place of learning. So these are the ones that you've heard of, probably like Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds. Many of these are members of the Russell Group. So they are big universities, city-based, with a comprehensive range of subjects, usually with a law faculty and a medical school, as well as the business school and all the other things that you'd expect. The next group of universities are what are known as the campus or technological universities. These were always places of learning, but became universities in the 1960s. Places like Loughborough, Warwick, Bath, UEA. So these are characterized by having a large campus with everything together. So you'd have your education facilities there, the accommodations on campus, lots of green spaces, sports fields, a big student union. So you'd mix with the other students very, very quickly. So they're quite different to some of the big city universities. But as a consequence of that, they often have higher rates of student satisfaction because everyone's together and it's a little sort of community, almost a university town by itself. And then in 1992, a number of polytechnics in England became universities. These are known as new or modern universities, places like Oxford Brookes or De Montfort. Very, very good, equally high quality, but they look at things from a more practical perspective. So if you were looking at communications and media from Loughborough, they would take a very academic view in terms of how did social media change news coverage of a particular event. Whereas if you were to do communications and media at De Montfort, it would much more teach you about using lights, sound, audio visual equipment as part of the degree. So that's another thing. When you look at the course, look at the content of the course, because it might be different depending on what it is that you want to do. So there are a number of different degree awards, and I know we're going to cover these today because a lot of these do start in January. Historically and traditionally, most university programs begin in September, October in the UK, so around about now, it's just started. There have always been some universities that offer a January start, and this became much more popular during COVID. In terms of the types of programs that offer a January start, the traditional award from a UK university is a bachelor's award, usually a 3-year degree, and these would be called a Bachelor's of Science, a BSc, a Bachelor's of Arts, or a Bachelor's of Engineering. Some of these have been extended because it helps with achieving professional qualifications. You can get a Master's of Engineering, a Master's of Computing. That's still known as an undergraduate award because you're doing all 4 years in one go. The traditional masters that you will have heard of would be a sort of postgraduate award. So you already have a bachelor's degree, you already have a BSc, and now you want to do a 1-year postgraduate program. So these would be called a Master's of Science, an MSc, or an MA, Masters of Arts. And again, both of these now do have, in some universities, January start dates. If you come from a 12-year pre-tertiary education, so in the UK, school years, you have 13 years at school. In the Middle East, quite often you will have 12 years at school. And so if that's the case, before doing a bachelor's, you will be asked to do a foundation program to bridge that 1 year between year 12 and the first year of a bachelor's. This would usually have a combination of academic content and English language content, because it's an opportunity also for you to improve your English language skills before entering the Bachelor's Award. The last degree award, which we won't go into in much detail unless there is specific questions at the end, is the PhD. So this is a Doctor of Philosophy. This is a research 3-year award, and you can start that pretty much at any time during the year at any university in the UK. I'll be handing over soon to my colleague Adia to talk about the different awards and the different ways of studying in more detail. But just before I do that, I just want to let you know, broadly speaking, what the costs might be if you were to come to the UK. So now this is without any scholarships. And obviously, depending on the university and the location, the tuition fees can vary quite considerably. But I think realistically, you could be looking at tuition fees. This is the money you pay the university to be taught, anywhere between 16 to 28,000. And if you're doing an MBA, it could be a lot higher than that, actually. So this is the standard sort of price, depending on the different universities. Depending on your academic level, there may be scholarships available. In terms of accommodation, there are many different types of accommodation. It could be university accommodation, it could be a room in a house. If it's university accommodation, if you are a bachelor student, you're only there for 32 weeks, so you're only paying for those 32 weeks. If you're a master's student, you're there for 50 weeks, so that's much, much longer. And you might have a fully catered room, or you might have one where you cook for yourself. You might have an ensuite bathroom, you might not. But anywhere between 6,000 to 12,000 would be realistic in terms of accommodation for the year. And then above that, of course, you've got your living expenses, which might be food, might be going out, might be clothes shopping. So again, anywhere between 6,000 and 12,000. If you're quite frugal and you don't live in London, you could probably get away with the lower end. If you live in London, but you go and watch Manchester United every other week, then it's going to be much, much more expensive. Okay, so lots and lots to look at there in terms of the costs. So hopefully I've given you a very quick overview of the UK higher education landscape. Now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Adia, who will talk about the courses and the January intakes in much, much more detail, and also look at the visa side of things as well. So Adia, over to you.
Thank you, Charlie. Can you hear me? Thank you, Charlie. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Shagun. So, hi everyone. My name is Adia, and I'm a senior education consultant at SOUK London. So let me just share my screen with you, and if you can let me know if you can see my screen, Shagun. Just a second.
Yes, we can see now.
Yeah, is it good?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yes, so as Charlie said, I will be talking in more detail about each study level. So I will start off with the International Foundation Program, which is level 3, the International Year 1, which is level 4, and also pre-masters course, which is level 7. So who is this program designed for, and what are these programs? So the International Foundation Program, which is IFP, is a 1-year foundation course, which is designed for mainly non-EU students to progress to an undergraduate degree. It's 1 year long course, and the reason why I said it's for non-EU students is because if you're coming from EU or EEA countries, you will normally hold a qualification which is equivalent to UK high school qualification. However, if you have a slightly lower grade and you're not eligible for a direct year 1 entry, then you may need a foundation year as well. So it will be useful for EU and EEA students as well. So the other program is called the International Year 1, IYO, and it's a one-year course which prepares non-EU students for year 2 progression of an undergraduate degree course. So the difference between the first two is the first one, which is the International Foundation Program. So once you complete this course, then you will progress to year 1 of your undergraduate degree, and your course will be 4 years in total. And the second one, which is the International Year 1, once you complete this 1 year long course, you will be able to progress to year 2, which will actually make your studies less. So it will be 3 years in total. But for the second one, for the International Year 1, it will be a more intensive course, and the entry requirements are a bit higher as well. So both of these courses, as well as the pre-masters. So for the pre-masters course is for students who wish to do their postgraduate degree, but who may have a bachelor's degree, but their grade is slightly lower for a direct postgraduate entry. So for them, it's a perfect way to do a pre-masters course. So all of these programs, they are open from January intake, and normally there will be business, accounting and finance, humanities and social sciences, engineering and physical sciences, and life sciences. So depending on the course that you would like to study, so for example, if you would like to do a bachelor's in psychology, then you need to do a pathway in humanities and social sciences. So you will start in January. So the next start date is in January 2024. And you will also finish your course in August 2024. And you will be able to catch up with those students who already started their foundation or International Year 1 or pre-master in September 2023. So it's a shortcut route for students to catch up with the students who already started and who want to progress to their bachelor's degree or master's degree from September 2024.
Sorry, Atiya, could we please just mute your mic and maybe unmute Charlie's mic, because we cannot hear you quite clearly.
Sure.
Please bear with us, students. We're just sorting out the audio.
Yeah, hi guys. So I think we're just going to swap over. So Adia is about to become Charlie on the screen. Let me just see if I can share my screen first and get that back on. Okay, so hopefully Adia,
Yeah.
I think that might be. Okay.
All right. Can you hear me well now? Is it better?
Yes, it's
Yes,
better.
that sounds perfect.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry, guys. It was just some technical problems. Yes. So I will just talk it through again. So very briefly. So we have the International Foundation Program, which is level 3, the International Year 1, which is level 4, and pre-master's course, which is level 7. So we have the International Foundation Program, which is a 1-year foundation course designed for mainly non-EU students to progress to the undergraduate degree. Then we have the International Year 1, which is also a 1-year long course, which is designed for non-EU students for year 2 progression of an undergraduate degree. And we have a pre-master's course for students who wish to apply for a postgraduate degree, but maybe don't have enough grades in their bachelor's degree, and they are not able to for a direct year for a direct postgraduate degree. So for them, it's a perfect way to do a pre-master's course. So the difference between the first 2 courses, which is the International Foundation Program and the International Year 1, is because the first one is basically after completing the foundation year, you will start year 1 of an undergraduate degree. So in total, your program will be 4 years. And the second one, which is the International Year 1, you will be able to progress to year 2 The international year one is more intensive, and it will require you to have a higher grade in your high school as well, in your high school diploma. So there are some course availabilities, such as business, accounting, and finance. So there are four main pathways, such as business, accounting, and finance, humanities and social sciences, engineering and physical sciences, including computing and life sciences. So depending on your chosen course, so for example, if you want to do a BSc in business management, then you would need to go through the route of a business, accounting, and finance. So you will start your course, either a foundation, international year one, or pre-master's course in January, and you'll be able to finish your course in August 2024, and you will be able to also catch up with the students who already started their course in September 2023. So it's a shortcut route for you to be able to start your undergraduate or postgraduate degree from September 2024. In case you would like to study biomedical science, then you can go through the route of life sciences. How to apply? So it's a direct application. You can apply through SIUK, and the deadline is on a rolling basis, which means that the earlier you apply, the better for you, because once the course is filled up, then you will no longer be able to apply for January. So you will need to apply for the next intake, which is normally September. How long will you study for? The course lasts 9 months, and it's from 2 to 3 terms, 10 to 15 weeks each, and it's from 16 to 22 hours of classroom-based study per week. And you will also have some Easter holidays, then you have a short summer break and Christmas holidays. And you will do some English support classes as well, because it's designed for non-EU students, and a few academic subject modules. Now moving on to the undergraduate study, which is level 6. So there are some courses available, such as business management, accounting and finance, marketing, psychology, nursing, computer science, artificial intelligence, LLB law. So this is not a full list of all the courses. So there are some other courses available, such as biomedical science or architecture. Really depends on your chosen course and what you would like to study. But these are just the most popular courses, which start from January 2024. And how to apply for them is, it's usually through a direct application through SIUK or through UCAS, which stands for Universities and Colleges Admission Service. The deadline is, it's a rolling admission, so which means that they will keep their applications open up until they get their places fully booked. And how long will you study for is normally from 3 to 4 years, and it's from 2 to 3 terms, 10 to 15 weeks each. Then you'll have a short break, normally for 2 weeks, and then you will start your new term. Then it's up to 20 hours of classroom-based study per week, but it's not to say that you will only do 20 hours per week, because you will also do some self-studies, and your tutors will let you know how long you will need to dedicate your time for each module. You will have your Easter holiday, then a short summer break if you start from January, and also Christmas holidays. What will you study is really depends on the course taken, and you will be assessed through a mix of exams, written assignments, that's essays and projects. And you can also undertake a placement year, or it's also called a sandwich year, in other words. So it will take 4 years in total to complete your undergraduate degree if you are undertaking a sandwich course or a placement year, because you will do a 1-year-long internship, which lasts from anywhere from 9 months to 13 months, and you do it from after your 2nd year. So once you finish your internship, then you come back to your final year. It's a good way to gain some skills, because employers these days value transferable skills, and it's good to boost your CV as well. So moving on to so this is just the course content. These are the screenshots of a course content of the Bachelor's of Mathematics. So before choosing your course, before applying to a university, I would advise you to choose your course wisely, because it's quite important to know what you'll be studying for another 3 to 4 years, or if it's a postgraduate degree, for another year. So some students, they are not sure what they would like to study, but I would advise you, if you have some interest in some subjects, I would advise you to go and look into the course content. So for example, as you can see from this slide, if you choose a BSc in mathematics, then you can check out each module that you will be covering for each year. So for example, year 1, it covers analysis 1, then mathematical methods, etc. Then year 2, it has some compulsory modules as well as optional modules, and year 3 as well. So you'll be able to read in more detail about your course. So I would advise you to just choose your course wisely again before applying. And then we will move on to the study level, which is level 7, and a PhD, which is level 8. So the postgraduate degree, so which courses are popular from January 2024, which is normally it's business, anything to do with business. It's international business management, accounting and finance, project management, MBA. You can do psychology, nursing, computer science, law, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, etc. You would normally need to apply directly, so you can get in touch with one of our consultants to help you apply through SIUK, or you would need to apply through UCAS. We will also be able to assist you with applying through UCAS. So some programs, even if it's a postgraduate degree application, you need to apply through UCAS. That will be nursing or medicine. And it's a rolling admission, which means that the sooner you apply, the better it will be for you, especially if you need a student visa, because at the moment it takes about it can take up to 2 months to get your visa. So you need to apply now and then get your decision within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then apply for a student visa. So how long will you study for? It's normally from 12 to 24 months, and it's from 2 to 3 terms, 10 to 15 weeks each. It's much less of hours, so 10 to 12 hours of classroom-based study per week, but you will also have some independent learning. But some programs, such as biomedical science, they will require you to do some hours in the laboratory. And yeah, so it's really different depending on the course that you are taking. And master's students will be expected to work on their dissertation throughout the summer. So you will have some Easter holidays and Christmas holidays as well. It will be a mixture of exams, written assignments, and projects. And you can also do a placement year, which means that normally in the UK, master's degree is 1 year long, but it can be up to 2 years if you do a placement year. And there are some conversion courses. So if you've done your bachelor's degree in psychology in your home country, and now you realize that you would like to become a lawyer, then you can do a conversion course in law. It will take you 2 years to complete the course, but then you'll be able to qualify as a lawyer in the UK. The same with psychology. So if you've done your degree in business, but now wish to do a psychology degree in your master's program, then you can do a conversion course in master's, as well as computer science, and there are some other programs. So as you can see from the picture on the right-hand side, there are some companies which students have undertaken their placement year in. Such companies include IBM, NHS, Coca-Cola, Canon, PwC, etc. So it's a good way. Anyway, a placement year is a good way to gain some work experience whilst studying. And a PhD, I didn't cover PhD, but the PhD is the PhD course start date can be at any time, really. So and the course lasts from 3 to 4 years as well. So you will need to have your research proposal ready, and then you can contact SIUK consultants, and we can help you with your application. So I've just included some of the popular universities for January 2024. Again, this is not a full list. I just you mentioned some of them just to give you some idea. These universities include Queen Mary University of London, which is a Russell Group university. They have an MSc in banking and finance. They also have an MSc in management, LLM, commercial law. These are not all the programs. This is just to give you an idea. Then we have the University of Greenwich, which has the bachelor's in adult nursing, big data and business intelligence, civil engineering, etc. We have some Russell Group universities, Warwick, York, Bristol. They all have PhD or masters in research. Now, every student who is coming from a non-English language speaking country will need to prove that they know English, and they would need to pass their test, English language test. So these are the most popular tests, such as IELTS, UKVI, Pearson, Password Test, Duolingo, TOEFL. Before booking your slot for any of these tests, I would advise you to consult with us, because some universities do not accept certain tests. So Duolingo is not accepted everywhere, for example. And for the foundation or international year one admission, you would need to undertake a UKVI test. So I would just advise you to speak to one of us before booking your test. And let me just tell you which documents you will need to have in order to apply. So you would usually need to have your high school diploma, or if you're applying for a master's degree, then you would need your bachelor's degree, diploma, and transcript. All the documents which are not in English have to be translated in English. Then you would need your personal statement, which is the key component in your application process. We can also help you with your personal statement editing. You would need one reference letter. It would usually come from your teacher for an undergraduate degree application, and 2 reference letters for a postgraduate application. Then you would need to have your passport, CV, if you have any. Then the UCAS application fee would be about £27.5 if applying through UCAS. There's usually no application fee for direct applications, and we can help you with your UCAS profile as well, to create and to fill it up. So this is everything about the documents required and the application process, and which courses are open from January 2024. Now I will tell you briefly about the student visa application. So I'm also an immigration advisor. In case you decide to apply for a student visa, feel free to get in touch with me. Firstly, you would need to make sure that you have an unconditional offer. So make sure that you've met your English language and academic requirements. And you would also need something called CAS, which stands for Confirmation of Acceptance of Studies. So a student visa is a points-based visa. So you basically need to have 70 points in order to apply for your student visa. So the first 50 points is awarded for the CAS, Confirmation of Acceptance of Studies. So once you have your unconditional offer, the university would normally ask you to pay a small deposit fee. And once they've checked all the documents, including your bank statements, then they will usually issue you with CAS. Then you have the first 50 points. Then you have another 10 points for your maintenance. So you need to make sure that you can self-fund your studies while studying in the UK. So that can be proven by a bank statement or a student loan letter. And if you are supported by your parents, then you would need a letter from them and also your birth certificate. And another 10 points is awarded for the English language proficiency. So that's what we just talked about. You will need to have IELTS, or if you've done your degree, which is from a major English-speaking country, then you can also prove that. And for the maintenance requirements, so you would need to have £12,006 for your living costs if your university is based in London, and £9,207 if your university is based outside of London. This is excluding tuition fees and any dependents. So now moving on to the maximum time allowed for student route visa. So you would normally have no limits to study on postgraduate level or above. However, there's a limit on how many years you can do your bachelor's degree, which is capped at 5 years, with some exceptions, such as architecture, medicine, dentistry, music studies at the conservatoire. And then there's also some limitations for students over 18 who want to do foundation or A levels, which is capped at 2 years. If you want to bring your dependents, you can do so, but from January 2024, as you may have heard, students who are holding a postgraduate, which is level 8, so it's a PhD or any doctorate or any research-based higher degree, for those kind of students, you will be able to bring your dependents. For dependents, you will also need to meet some maintenance requirements, which means that you would need to have £845 for up to 9 months if your university is based in London, or £680 if for any other location. So that means you need to have, apart from your own fees, you need to have about £7,000 for each of your dependents. And once you complete your course, so let's say you are on a general student visa. So if you are from EU or from non-EU countries, so after Brexit, all EU students would need to apply for a student visa unless they have a pre-settled or settled status. Or if you are from any non-EU country, you need a visa most likely. So if you're on a student general visa, then after your graduation, you can apply for your graduate visa, which was previously known as a PSW, and it allows you to stay in the UK for 2 or 3 years to either search for a job or work in the UK. Then also there's a skilled worker, but you need a sponsorship. There's also some other visa types such as Tier 1 investor. Global talent visa is actually quite popular. So you have plenty of options after you graduate. And before we move on to the Q&A session, so I would just like to let you know that we will be happy to help you with your application. So we have free service and we have some other services as well. So what we normally do, we help you choose universities and courses. We apply on your behalf. So we communicate with universities on your behalf as well. So we have a very good relationship with each university in the UK and also the Republic of Ireland. We can help you edit your personal statement, your reference letters, your CV, and some of our services also guarantee you an offer. If you want to find out more information, you can ask us in the Q&A session, or you can drop us an email at info@studying-uk.com, or give us a call on this number mentioned. All right, so I guess now myself and Charlie will be taking questions. I hope that this was useful for you. And please, if you want to unmute yourself or ask us any questions or put your questions in the chat box, we will be able to answer them now.
Thank you, Adia. There were a couple of questions in the Q&A session. I don't know if you can see them on your end. So there's one from, please forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong. Mamtaz Mullah is asking, is there any university that their initial deposit is £6,000 to £800 and their English requirements is Duolingo English test?
Sorry, say that again, Imi.
Is there any university where their initial deposit is £6,000 to £8,000 and their English requirement is Duolingo English test?
So the answer to the question is probably yes. Different universities have got the ability to set whichever deposit they would like, and that's absolutely fine. And they've also got the ability to set whichever English language qualification they like. So yes, we'd have to, that information should be absolutely clear on the university website, and also in the admissions offer that's been received from the university. So there'll be an English language qualifications section on the university website. It will say which qualifications are acceptable to the university. And in terms of the admissions offer itself, the university should stipulate what the deposit requirement is in order for the student to accept the offer.
Thank you, Charlie. There was also a follow-up question from Mumtaz. What is the acceptance rate for this? I guess that's a bit of a broad question.
So I think in terms of acceptance rates, I don't think we need to look at rates. I think realistically, if you meet the admissions requirement for the university, if you meet the academic requirements, and if you meet the English language requirements, then you will be accepted by the university. So that's the university side of things. As Adia says, you'd also need to look at getting your student visa, and that would be a decision that would be made by UK Visas and Immigration. The main part of that is that you get your university offer, but you also need to show that you've got the right number of funds available to you in order to study in the UK, but that would be acceptance via UK visas and immigration and not via the university themselves.
Thank you. We've got another one. I guess this is just kind of like summarizing some of our services at SI UK, whether we're able to connect you, this an anonymous question, whether we're able to connect them with someone that will be able to give some financial advice in terms of funding. Adia, maybe you could shed a bit more light on that in terms of like our services and advice.
Yeah, sure. If you can email us at info, so the previous slide, if you if you can email us at info@studyenglish.uk.com, then we'll be able to to send you to the right consultant. So we have a few consultants who are taking care of different regions, and then they will be able to help you with your query about funding.
Amazing. Students, now is your opportunity to unmute and ask Charlie and Adia any questions that they may have missed during the presentation. Otherwise, I'm going to start picking on you.
So I think we've got a question from Siddiqa about the scholarship process. So Siddiqa, can I just ask, are you looking to do a bachelor's degree or a master's degree at a UK university? Siddiqa, are you there?
Siddiqa, could you
Okay.
please unmute your mic?
Okay, well, no problems. I think basically the reason I'm asking is that we have slightly, the UK universities have got slightly different processes for different scholarships, and all universities are different. I think I would say it's probably usually a little bit more difficult to get a scholarship for a bachelor's degree for an international student than it is for a master's. So I think ordinarily there would be far fewer, because there's such a high proportion of UK students coming to bachelor's programs. The lower number of places for international students means that scholarships are much more competitive. Whereas for master's awards, they're usually, because there's a higher proportion of international students that go to study at master's programs, they quite often are more scholarships available. They certainly won't be 100% scholarships. In the UK, that's very, very rare indeed. So it could be something like 10% or 20% of the tuition fee. Some universities will just say that they will award people with the best grades, and that will be quite opaque. You won't know what the grade requirement is. And other universities will be quite clear that if you meet the equivalent of a what's called a 2-1 in the UK, and they will probably have a table that shows you the equivalencies with Indian qualifications or Chinese qualifications or Nigerian qualifications. And then if you meet that requirement, quite often you know that you're guaranteed either a 10% or a 20% discount off the tuition fees. So again, different for different universities, but that would generally be the way it works at a UK university.
Thank you, Charlie. Aurora, just to answer your question, yes, we will be sending this recording with the presentation, so anything that you might want to be reminded of. Also, beautiful name, by the way. So we've also got a question from Anonymous. It's an iPhone. Sorry, you didn't put your name there. So I'm basically an international student from Sudan, and I've placed some offers earlier this year, but due to the war taking place in my country, I've faced a financial hardship. So are you still able to advise me with related funds, external funds, such as private organizations or so?
So I think that that obviously there are the university scholarships. That's the first thing to say. But usually, in fact, nearly always, if you look on the university websites, there usually will be a section which is called fees and funding. That's usually on most UK university websites. And not only will it show you what internal financial support might be available, very, very often they will also list the external funding websites. So these broadly fit into two categories, which would be an academic list. So and then so if you're very high, if you achieve really, really strong grades, then things like Chevening or different sort of scholarship awards. And some, for example, will have relationships with private organizations which offer studentships for people from Africa and from other regions of the world, which will allow you to make an application to an external funding agency that might be able to offer support. So again, look at the universities that you're most interested in. We can't really give advice on the application process for external funding agencies. We can certainly give the advice for the UK universities. But if you look on the UK university website, it will list quite often the external funders which you may wish to connect with.
Great, thank you, Charlie. And another one from Sadiqa, how long does the application process take? Adia, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, actually, I've seen this question. Yes, so normally the application process will take about from 3 to 4 weeks, but sometimes it can take faster. So if you want to apply with us, then we can possibly make it faster. So within 2 weeks of when you applied. It really depends as well if you're applying for your foundation or undergraduate or postgraduate. So just let us know. Again, just get in touch with us. But on average, if you've got all your documents ready, and if you don't need to take your IELTS, you've got your IELTS, let's say you've got all the documents, your qualifications, all the translations ready, then it shouldn't take long, maybe from 2 to 3 weeks maximum.
Amazing. And another one from Baba, who's just joined us. Welcome, Baba. Baba wants to know whether you can only study at the university with just a student visa for undergraduate.
So
sorry, go.
Yeah, if they can study, is it? Oh, okay, I would this one.
Let me just start. Yeah, so if you look at that one, Adia. So in terms of the question towards the end, I'll just we'll just divvy up the questions. If you can do that one, Adia. But in terms of asking about the one at the bottom, I applied for my SI UK, my postgraduate, I got enough from the university, but can I still change my decision and apply for a different university? The answer is, of course, yes, of course you can. We're not going to make you do anything. This is your choice. This is your education. It's your future. Obviously, we'd probably need to know a little bit more detail about your situation. So if you're applying, for example, for a January intake, which I guess you are because you're here, the only thing I would say is that you need to think about the turnaround time for a new application and look at the deadlines for any university that you're looking to apply to. So you are under no obligation to take any university offer. The whole point about us working with every single UK university is that we can give you a completely objective service, and that's something that we're very proud of. The only thing I would say is if you are looking to apply for a specific university, sometimes their deadlines, for example, are the end of October, for example, or whatever it might be. So just be aware of that. We can advise you, of course we'll advise you, but there's nothing forcing you to choose any university 100%.
Yeah, and I can answer the question about if you can get a discount on your tuition fees if you've already got your master's degree and if you wish to do your second master's. Yeah, if you want to do your second master's within the same university, they would normally give you some discount for up to 20%. That's usually the case. But if you want to go elsewhere, then it's really up to the university, and also it depends on your grades. So if you got your distinction from your first master's, then you could possibly get a merit-based scholarship. If you are coming from EU, then there is some EU transitional scholarship available, and the fees can range from £2,000 to £5,000. So you may be able to pay as a home student if you're coming from EU. But again, you would need a student visa as well. So there is no limit on how many years you can do your master's degree. But in terms of scholarship, it really depends on the university. If you want to stay within the same uni, then you may be able to get some scholarship. You just need to ask your university, or you can again contact us and we can do it on your behalf. And if you want to apply to another university, then we would just need to check. So what are the options in other universities for you?
Thank you, Adia. And next question is quite a specific one around HND in banking and finance in Nigeria. I think the answer to that, I will ask Adia just to confirm, but I think that would depend on the different universities. Different universities will allow different, will have different admissions requirements. So I think, yeah, that's a question where we probably need to speak with you outside of this presentation and give you a service in order to help you with your university admissions process. But I would say that the answer to that question is it depends on the university. I'm not sure if
Yeah, I can also add to that. So we've had students from Nigeria applying with their HND qualification, but they would normally be asked to do a top-up degree. So 1 year of a bachelor's degree, and then they can start their master's. But really depends on the uni again. We can check it out. If you want to get in touch with us, send your qualifications and we can check it out for you.
In terms of the 5 to 6 year gap, of course, yes, of course you can get admission. So if you have the relevant qualification that you need, that's the most important thing from an academic perspective. There might be a more recent requirement needed around your English language qualification. So I think the university would just want to be reassured that you've reached the appropriate English language level within the last year or 2 years. But again, different by university. If you've achieved for example, if you want to apply for a master's, but you've achieved the right qualification from your bachelor's program, then that's fine. That's in the bag. But you do need to ensure that you've got a relevant English language qualification as well.
Yeah, and the next question is about how we can assist students with their master's application without doing a pre-master's. Well, we really need to check your qualification because also depends on the university's entry requirements. Some universities have low entry requirements, some of them will have high entry requirements. So if, let's say, you are eligible where you can just apply for a master's program without doing your pre-master's, then we will be happy to help you with that. However, if you've got your bachelor's degree, but you've got a low grade, and you may not be eligible for a direct master's application, then you may need to do a pre-master's course.
Okay, so coming back to, I think Sadiqa is asking about, would a student without a visa take longer to get into universities? I mean, the answer is, with regards to the admissions process, no. The admissions process should take exactly the same amount of time, whether you are a UK student or an international student. So that shouldn't make any difference whatsoever. As long as you supply all the relevant paperwork and give the relevant information, that's absolutely fine. What does take longer is obviously after you receive the offer, you need to apply for the visa. So that's going to be the additional time that you just need to factor into your process. In terms of the IELTS, that's a specific English language qualification. And as I said, if you look on the university website, it will list all the different English language qualifications which are acceptable. It could also, it might say that if you've studied, for example, in an English speaking country for a certain period of time, that might be considered in lieu of an English qualification, whether it's IELTS or TOEFL or anything else. So yes, that's the answer to that question.
The next question is about accommodation, how to find an accommodation if we go down this route. I'm not sure what you mean by this route. So if you're on a student visa, you need to get your offer first and then your visa. And in the meantime, you can apply for a student accommodation. So you can stay with other students on campus and you can apply for a student accommodation. You would normally get an ensuite room or a studio flat as well. And you can also apply for private accommodation, which is outside of campus. There are plenty of websites that you can have a look at. It can be Spare Room or Zoopla, Rightmove, and then you can check out the prices and see which one is more affordable for you, which one is best for you.
Next one is around about the living costs of being in the UK. Again, there was a very broad range given on that slide, and the reason for that is that different universities charge different amounts for fees. If we exclude the fee altogether, the biggest difference in terms of living costs is around which location in the UK you live. It's much more expensive to live in London than it is to live in like a smaller place, a campus university in the north of England. So I think realistically, above your tuition fee, I think you should certainly be thinking of somewhere in the region of £15,000 a year, which would include accommodation and your living costs. That might be a reasonable expectation in order to live in the UK for 1 year. Just to let you know, guys, this will be wrapping up at 12 p.m. at midday, next 3 minutes. So we'll get through as many questions as we can, but we do need to cut this off in 2 minutes' time. So over to you.
Yeah, sure. So we have a question from Mumtaz, who's asking about his, so he's done 12 years of high school in his home country, and his goal is to do a foundation year, but he's got a gap year of 5 years. So normally, if you want to do a foundation year, it's fine, you can do that, but you need to apply for an extended course, which means that you would need to apply directly to the university, which has the extended degree. So that will be, for example, if you're interested in management, that will be BSc Management with foundation.
Great. So I think we've got people that joined us late. I can't believe it. That's not a problem. I'm sure we're going to be doing similar seminars in the future if people find this useful. We will put in the email address for the office one more time. So if there are any questions that you've not had the opportunity to ask today, you can send them through. But yeah, we haven't got any plans yet for another online seminar, certainly not for the January intakes, because we might be cutting it a bit fine. But if there is interest, we can maybe do something for another admissions seminar in a couple of months' time. We can certainly do that. But in the meantime, please do email the office, and we can answer any questions. Either myself or my colleagues can speak to you individually, free of charge, and we can answer all of your questions. But it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you all today. Thank you all for your time. I'm just going to hand over to Imi just to wrap up the session.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Adia, and thank you everybody for attending. I hope you found that really useful for the for January intake as well. And like Charlie said, you can always come to the, contact us on the email address provided on the slides. We will be sending the full presentation shortly, so you, just in case we missed out anything. And also a reminder that we've got a UK University Fair event happening in London on the 4th of November between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. So if you're available, do come and, do come along, and you'll be able to also have one-to-one meetings with the universities individually. But yeah, thank you so much, and always looking forward to seeing you in the next session, if not at the fair. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.